Swim check 1, 2. Bike check 1, 2. Run check 1, 2. I think we're ready. Let's try this. Welcome to the Try Beginner's Luck podcast, a podcast where we explore the sport of triathlon from a variety of perspectives to help beginner triathletes on their journey. I am your host, Mashonda Shines. Well, welcome back to another edition of Try Beginner's Luck. Y'all, we made it. We are at the end of the season, the end of the year. I hope you guys had a marvelous holiday season. A Merry Christmas for those of you who celebrate Christmas. Happy Hanukkah for those of you who celebrate Hanukkah, and Kwanzaa for those of you who celebrate Kwanzaa. This is the holiday season, and what I've done this time with Try Beginners Luck is try to focus on the family. So at the beginning of the month, we had Gwen Jorgensen and her family. And then we had Pops and Hannah Dighton. And then last week we had Ashay and Anne Marie. And this week we have a couple that I officially met at Lake Placid this year. However, during Endurance Exchange, during this, what they call round robin social networking time, I met the husband. And we were at Mirror Lake. I was trying to put on my wetsuit, and someone comes up to me like, Mashonda. And I'm like, yeah, do I know you? But you know, it's like Black people unite in this field, right? Because you'd be like, oh yeah, what's up? I know you, but I don't know you just yet. But when we introduced each other, he gave me his name. I was like, yes. So I want to introduce one of my new favorite tri couples, and that is Melissa Thoen and Salim Martin. Welcome to Try Beginner's Luck, family. How y'all doing?
We're doing well, thank you. How are you?
Good. Oh, don't be acting all posh. We're doing well, thank you. Don't do me like that.
We got the whole family here, so thank you for your patience with some background noise we might have today.
Hello, friend. Mateo saying he's having a good time. It's all about him, but yes. Well, let's get this party started because we don't know how long we'll have before Mateo wants your attention. So let's start right in. So I got to meet Salim, as I mentioned, through Endurance Exchange and being in one of the speed like meet and greet sessions. And so to see him and to meet him in person at Lake Placid was just really cool. But then Mel and I really connected because we got to frolic. We were frolicking in the lake, in Mirror Lake. We were supposed to be swimming, which we did swim, but then we did a lot of floating.
You made me swim. It was great, though.
You said what now?
That you made me swim. You get to know, let's go to the next buoy and the next buoy.
Okay, so I did peer pressure her into continuing to go, and she only wanted to do a certain distance, but I was like, come on, we're already out here. But we also enjoyed it because we relaxed a little bit while everyone else was really like getting into it because we were there supporting. But I wanted to talk to a couple to find out what it's like. And you're a unique couple because Salim, you are actually a coach. You own, but Salim, you are the head coach for Onyx Multisport, and you're still an active triathlete, but you also have a wife who's a triathlete and you coach your wife. That has to be a lot in that combination. And so, of course, I like to bring stories. So we're going to get into your background about your beginner stories, but how is that dynamics? You know, you being a coach and having to coach your wife. Tell us about all that, because you're a new coach, actually, right?
I'm a new coach. Yeah, we've been Onyx Multisport. We've been around for about 18 months at this point. But like it's been a long process to get to the 18 months. This has been a process, 8-9 years in the making, and it was 18 months ago where it was like, hey, we might as well do this thing, and so we decided to do it. So that's been great. Coaching my wife has been interesting. And it's been fun and exciting. We had to come to an arrangement on like, she's an athlete. Like she's my wife. She's an athlete. She's really great at what she does, and I have to always respect the fact that she is an athlete, has an athlete mindset, has a warrior's mindset, And so when she says she's going to do something, I have to give her the space to do it. And I can't, when we were in our husband coaching mode, that can't be a 24/7 thing. Like if she misses a workout, I can't nag about the workout that was missed. We move on to the next one. A lot of communication, a lot of talking, but we constantly keep moving forward. We tried before, like years ago, we tried doing this and it just didn't work. It was like, no, like there was no way for it to work. So I was like, you got to do the whole. It's like, I'm doing this, and so I had to like change some of the structure and listen a lot and let Mel do Mel inside the confines of what the workouts are, and that combination I think has worked better.
It's worked much better, yes.
Yeah, so, because I'm listening a lot to what she's putting into the workout and like letting her do it. So it's still nerve-wracking sometimes, but at the same time, like it's been great to see her make progress and go through it and do it. And it's funny, like on race day, I've got coach concerns, and then I have husband concerns all at the same time. So it's pretty funny how that works itself out and how it becomes taxing sometimes, because I just can't I'm in the process of being like husband, but I'm like, hey, like, you out of the water yet? You're on the bike yet? Going through with the what we have to carry out for the day.
Keep talking. I'm right here.
Okay.
Just a little child playing on a table.
Yeah, just doing. Mateo is letting us know that he is the boss. You're muted.
He is. Toddlers rule the world. So, hey, there it is. But I was going to come to Melissa because, well, come to Mel. I was going to come to Mel because I saw her body change when, you were talking about the coaching and how it didn't work previously. So I want to get your take on it, and how is it working with Salim?
I think it's gotten much better over the years, because when we first started, I had a really hard time with playing girlfriend and being told what to do. I had a really hard time with processing that this man has two roles in my life, and one that was a little bit bossy, I would say. Not bossy, sorry, that's not the right word. Bossy. But you didn't get your workout. What happened? Like, relax. Like, this is not going to work if we're going to continue like that. So Salim's got, like with all your athletes, I think you've adapted to how I need to be spoken to, or how I need to interact with him. And that's helped a lot.
I love it. So let's talk about having Mateo, right? Because he's a real, like, he's a mixed factor, right? He comes into the play, and now you have to juggle. So for those who are parents who are athletes, what is your advice for them and how to manage it all with training?
Oh, wow.
That's a great question.
It's been a struggle, I have to admit, because it was my first child, and I thought, okay, I'm going to have a baby and I'm going to jump right back in, and we're going to be able to continue, because we met doing triathlon. We met in Lake Placid. The first time I saw you was in 2015. Yeah. And then we met about 2 years later, and then we started dating. So we would train together. We would go on trips together and race together. And then this little human comes along, and we think we can continue this lifestyle, and surprise, no, that is not how it goes. So it was a bit challenging at the beginning, but I think we found a little bit of a routine. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, it was hard. It was hard at first. Like, you're used to doing a 50-mile bike ride, 13-mile run, 20-mile run, whatever the distance is. You guys were doing it together. Like, if I was training for a New York City Tri, Mel would be on the bike while I'm running, giving me water, and then so we go from having that rapport to, okay, I got to be home watching the baby while you go for your workout, or the opposite. I'm home watching the baby while Mel goes on her workout. So we came up with like a every other day training program for us to make it work. So we each get a day, we each get our every other day to get our workouts in the best that we can around Mateo's schedule. Because he comes first. Like there's times if you look at my Strava, which is really funny sometimes, you'll see like a 17-minute workout. Hour and a half was scheduled, but you know, Mateo decided that he, needed some things. So that bike ride that was supposed to be an hour and a half now turned into 17, 22 minutes. And I have to figure out a different way to get my workouts in. So it's been interesting, but like at the end of the day, like our love for our son and our love for the sport are there. And so Mateo comes first, but we love the sport and we're finding ways to make it work. And like for other parents, and you have to have some type of, I wouldn't say it's never a 50-50 balance, but you have to have some type of communication with your partner and like you have more quality workouts than quantity workouts that I found in order to make it work. And then you just adjust from that, from that perspective.
Okay, I like that. And I appreciate that honesty because some people are like, no, it has to be 50-50, but the reality is it's probably never 50-50. And one thing you said is quality over quantity and making sure you get what you can get in because you still can make this work. So those of you who are parents out there who are new parents or newlyweds, do what you can, but keep trying no matter what. Mel, you said some real key things. So we have to go back to this. I cannot let this skirt.
What's that?
So you guys met at Lake Placid and then met again at Lake Placid and started dating. So take us back to the first time you saw him. And was it, we need all the details. This is getting juicy. Ooh.
Oh man. So I remember being in Lake Placid and walking with my mom past the oval or towards the oval and seeing this guy. And I was like, he's a pretty handsome looking guy walking up the hill. And I remember seeing him and I'm like, I've seen this guy before somewhere. But that was it. And then I think I saw him at some other New York race. But then 2 years later, I come back from doing Ironman Cozumel, feeling like $1,000,000. And we go to this Ironman premiere event in New York City. And there is this guy at the bottom of the stairs. And yes, my son is like, yes, mom, that was my handsome daddy. But as I'm walking down the stairs and smiling at him, of course, I trip and almost fall down the stairs. It was like a comedy.
Oh, wow.
And Salim was there hanging out with Iron Man, right?
Yeah, so true story. At the Iron Man event, there was a gentleman there who really thought that he was invited to an Iron Man event. He brought all of his comic books. He thought he was going to meet Iron Man, like the character, and he was looking for a signature. He had an Iron Man shirt on. And I'm standing next to this guy, like, yeah, I'm here to meet Iron Man. I'm like, it's like, and I have this really, really confused look on my face. I'm like, it's not that Iron Man. He's like, you're not gonna meet Tony Stark. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, no, athletes, not superheroes. And then he shows me his comic books. I was like, no, I'm sorry. So then Mel was walking down the stairs at this point. Like I have this smile of like, oh no, what's going on? But it was really funny.
Yeah, and that was it, right?
And that's how we met. Yeah, we met officially. Yeah, we met. Yeah, we met then.
December 5th.
December 5th. Look at that. December 5th. How about that?
How about that? I mean, although it's a little bit past December 5th, it's still December, and we're like recounting this little love match in December as we're honoring families. Oh my God. So Lake Placid is where all the magic happened initially. I guess they say, I guess it's true. Lake Placid is very magical.
It's magical.
It really is. I mean, yeah.
It's a great experience. Like if you've never done Lake Placid, put it on your list of things to do. Bring all your gear. Like you never know what the weather's going to be like, but it's a magical place. A lot of
Yeah.
history there, and so for all the triathletes out there, that's one that I highly recommend that you go through, have that experience.
Yeah. So let's go back in time. You guys have met and were dating while trying together. But take me back to your first experience. I think, Salim, you got started in the sport maybe 9 years ago. And Mel, how many years ago was it when you started?
2012. So 10 years.
Okay. So 10 years, 9 years. Take me back to what it was like when you first tried. What was your first races like?
Yeah, I'll go first. My first race was New York City Triathlon. I wanted to start doing some kind of endurance sports, and I had to do it for a cause, because doing it for myself was something that probably wouldn't have happened. So I signed up to do a charity, and the guy at the charity orientation was like, "Why would you want to do just one sport when you can do three?" I was like, "Oh, shit. That's right." So I signed up for New York City Tri, and it was a really challenging training. I went from not being somebody that worked out or ran or did any sports on a consistent basis to just diving into doing New York City Tri and practicing jumping in the Hudson River, or at least thinking about it. And it was a great experience. It was wonderful. It was really eye-opening that I was able to do something like that. Immediately when I was done, I was like, that was hell. And yet, so probably a week later, I signed up for the next distance. And I was hooked from the get-go. I was part of a all-women's tri team that I loved, and we're still all really close. So it was just the community of triathlon, the sport, knowing that I mentally and physically could push boundaries. And that was just the Kool-Aid for me. In 10 years later, I'm still sipping on the Kool-Aid.
Because all the cool kids sip the Kool-Aid. Like, it's just what we do.
You do. You jump in at it. Yeah, it's great.
How did your Kool-Aid start?
I was marathon running before I started doing triathlon. And for my off season, I would jump in the pool and do swim workouts, and I would go to the gym and hop on the bike. And in January, a friend of mine was like, what's your training like? So I told him I was, swimming 2 days a week, biking 3 days a week. And he's like, you're already a runner. Like, why don't you do a triathlon? And so he gives me a triathlon. Like, we're looking, this is the time like when we're still doing a lot of partying too. So we're at the bar, and we're talking about it over a beer. And I was like, triathlon. Hour passed, triathlon. And so we start looking, and he's like, how about this? We do a race for my birthday. I was like, cool, let's do a race for your birthday. And so we started to do the training together, doing the biking together. In May, this guy breaks his elbow. And so I see him, and he's like, I broke my elbow. I was like, so
wow.
What does that mean? Are you still doing the race? And he's like, nah, I can't do it because, like my elbow's broke. I was like, I'm not going to stop now. Like, I've already put all the work in. We're like 4 weeks out from the race. I'm sorry, 5 weeks out from the race. I was like, I'm just going to keep training. And then my first 70.3 was Syracuse. And that was an experience. It was like, I wasn't sure I knew I could do it. After doing a marathon, like, that like anything you set your mind to, that it becomes something that you can do. The idea of swimming was my first time swimming 1.2 miles. So I was a little scared of that, but it was great. It was beautiful. It was hot. It was hellish. But have fond memories of doing it. So I was able to do it. And I have this rule of 3. You can do it. Anyone can do anything one time. Do it twice, beginner's luck. The third time lets you know if you can, like, if this is something that you're a part of or if you're really not. And so just kind of stuck with it, and here we are. Like, you just keep moving, and just part of the philosophy, just keep going forward. You never know where you're going to go with it. And so we're still swim biking and running at this point. So it's awesome. But that
Okay.
was quite the experience. Yeah.
I can imagine. So let me understand this. Your very first race was a 70.3.
My first triathlon was a 70.3. Yes. My second race was an Olympic.
And what was your third? A sprint?
Yeah, it was a pancake. It was a third. It was a sprint. Yes, it was a sprint. That is true.
Doing things in reverse order is sometimes fine. But I'm just still on your first one being a 70.3. And did you even have an idea of what you were going to get yourself into? Like, did your friend say, hey, we're starting off with this triathlon, but it's a 70.3? Or did he just say, oh, it'll be like, what did he do? How did he set that up for you?
It didn't take much. I mean, like, I was already I was a few marathons in, so like I'm like, oh, it's just distance. Like, I can find a way to maneuver the distance. I didn't realize, like, I didn't know what 4,000 feet of elevation was.
Oh,
And so it's like, oh, there's going to be hills. It's not going to be that many hills, And then, like, you get there, and like there's hills on top of hills, and I was okay with heat, but I didn't know how hot it could actually get at 1 o'clock in the afternoon while running, you know. Um, and so, like, I didn't know. There's a lot of things I just didn't know. I've never Syracuse was a special race because it had a very high DNF rate. Total at the end of at the end of every year. There's always a high DNF race. A lot of pros stopped doing the race because they had other things, like Lake Placid was coming up right afterwards. So it was a great introductory to Lake Placid. But I didn't know where it was going to go. I thought it was going to be a one-time thing, but the competitor in me, let's see if we can do it better the second time. Let's see if we can, like, find a way to maneuver it, like, for me to have a better experience than what it was the first time. So I didn't know that it was going to turn into what it is now. So it's been, I know, it's great. It's a great, it's backwards, but I didn't. When you start, you just don't know. No one told me don't do a 70.3 first. And if someone told me not to, I'd have done it more so because you told me not to do it. So, like, you have to, like, you live, you learn, and then, like, you find out that, hey, you know what? Maybe that's not the smartest way of doing it. There's other things, there's other muscle groups and things you need to worry about instead of just doing the race. You're like, oh, that's why you do the sprints in the Olympics first. There's a reason why you build up to do these things. And so, yeah, so, like, I don't know, it was a great learning experience. Would I tell someone to hop in there and do a 70.3 right out the gate? Absolutely not. But my experience, it was a different time, like, it was a different time, so I was able to just do it.
so you mentioned what no one told you, like they didn't tell me this wasn't the smart way. So what would you tell others to do right now, both of you? Like, if they're starting from ground zero, what would you tell them is most important?
Oh man, you're gonna
A wise man. Go first.
um, it depends on what your goals are. Like, I'm not going to tell you not to do something, but I'll tell you to do things smarter. Like, if you're going to be in the sport for, like, if your goal is to be in the sport for 10, 15, 20 years, like, think about your body and how you're beating up your body. So, Olympics and sprints are a great way of getting started. So you can, build up to doing a 70.3. Because, like, there's a lot that goes into it, especially now. Like, we're just coming off of COVID, and our bodies have changed a lot than they were 2 years ago. So there's more things you have to take into consideration than versus going out there and just that happy-go-lucky do it. I would even talk to I would talk to some professionals about it, some other coaches, and get an idea of, like, things to think about. But at the end of the day, it is your decision on how you're going to go about doing it. I'm sorry. Mateo is pulling, we call Mateo Jordan around here because we're linking up to contain him. We don't know when he's going to drop 50 points on us. Like, like now. So
Not those kind of points. Oh my.
yeah, he's good like that. So like I think the getting started, the most important thing is making sure you have the time and you're able to really commit. Like that's the most important thing that I've learned from this experience, is being able to make sure you're able to commit to it, because you have to respect the distance. Like you don't want to go out there and just not respect the distance and have a bad day, be in pain for 2 weeks with all types of body pains and other things happening. So really make sure that you have the time, you have the energy, you have the like, if you are a parent, you have the family structure in place, that your significant other understands that, hey, for like 2 weekends a month, I got to be on my bike for like 5-6 hours. And then once I'm back, I'll take full responsibility of like family things. So I think that is really important when it comes to getting started.
Mel? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's I didn't think I would be able to do as much. No, actually, I thought I could do it all after the little human.
After the baby? What?
After the baby? Yeah. Oh yeah, I signed up for a 70.3 9 months after I had a child, and that was
70.3, a marathon same year, and then try to do another 70.3 this year. So
we're moving ahead. This is about what you would have learned. Like, what would you tell? What would you tell somebody else? We're going to come back to that. But
to pace yourself and allow yourself, give yourself grace when it comes to this. You're learning a whole new discipline, a whole new sport. Pardon my little human here. It's your body is going through a lot of changes and new experiences. So give yourself the space for that. Excuse me. Somebody's all about today in the interview with you.
He can come in. Hi, Mateo.
Okay.
I love it. The happy family. I love it. I love it. Okay. So it seems like you guys have learned a lot of lessons. What is your favorite distance? Because I keep hearing 70.3s. I keep hearing like, so what is the favorite distance for the two of you?
Great question.
That's a really good question.
My theory is I love the Olympic.
You do?
I love the Olympic because you're able to race for me, I can race I can race the entire race. Like I love doing a 140.6 because of the mental challenge and what I have to put myself through and looking for a goal time. But as far as like racing a race, like I love doing Olympics, but at the same time, like there's nothing like doing a 140.6. Like there's finishing that after all the work you've put into it for however much time, like there's that feeling never gets old. So that's what about you?
I like the 70.3. It's long enough. Sorry. It's long enough to feel challenged for me. Because I'm not a speedy racer. Salim is more of a fast one. I'm more about like I take my pace and like a zone 2 athlete. So doing the 70.3 is enough to challenge myself, but without the pain, the grueling pain of a full distance.
So we have Mateo there, and we were told that, well, Salim just ratted you out, that 9 months after you gave birth, you were out racing again.
Yes.
So let's talk about that. Because, I mean, there's moms. I mean, we just saw this year. So we just learned that you did your 70.3 right at 9 months after giving birth to Mateo. And we're learning that, women are coming back faster to sport after having babies. And so just this year, Chelsea Sodaro won Kona, right? It was like what is it called? The biggest quote unquote upset because people weren't expecting her to win, but she won. So what would you tell a mom who's just had a baby coming back into sport, and how do you transition back into sport from having a baby?
I think it's very healthy to set goals, goals for yourself as an athlete, as a person. Sweetheart.
Salim, do not be embarrassed. This is just real life.
What do you want, buddy? No, I like back to your question. I think it's very important for a woman to be able to set goals after having a baby and to be able to look ahead and to find some connection with who we were before we had a baby. We are mothers. I mean, that identity is always going to be there, but I needed to know that I could do a distance after having a child, that having a baby wasn't going to do something to my body that would significantly impair me from doing things, which sounds extreme, but I mean, you do go through an identity shift when you have a child, and I needed to have that essence of me as an athlete still alive. So I signed up for it. It was a way of really embracing being a mother, embracing motherhood, and connecting to who I was, and that part of me that is so important.
Yes, I love that. It's the essence of who you are and connecting the two. That's actually pretty powerful. Now, I want to ask Salim, what have you noticed, pre-baby and post-baby with Mel?
Oh gosh, that's a loaded question. There's a lot of things there. There's a different love in her eye for that she has for Mateo, and there's a different level of happiness that she has now. The competitor that was there is still there, which was like the fire that she has to want the fire she has to succeed and do the stuff. That drive is still there, and it's more like there's more purpose to when she races. Like she's like, I have to get this done. I have to show. Like she did a half marathon in January last year, and she's like, I'm doing this so that Mateo knows that his mom was able to. Like, there's no quitters around here. Like, there's everyone comes here. We start something, we finish it, and he needs to have that experience, understand that early. And I was like, way to set the bar high. So it's like it's been great to see like what she's been doing. Scary at points, because I was there through the process of labor and saw what she was going through with labor and what it was like, and how she had to go from like sharing her body to like getting her body back to a place where she was able to feel comfortable to want to race in it. And then like, hey, I'm racing. Like it's not ideal, it's not perfect, but this is me where I am now, and it's going to get better, and the drive and will to want to do it. So there's so much there that she's done to get here. It's a beautiful thing to watch firsthand. So it's great.
Beautiful. I mean, I feel like it's a woo-woo moment.
Yeah, it's cool. Like it's so like it's weird. Like there's two aspects. She's an athlete. She's a mom, and she mom first, athlete, but she does it. Like she puts the time in and she does it. And so like it's just a matter of just like keep going. There's times driving. She did the Chicago Marathon. I'm sitting here like, okay, like scared, but that's me. Like that's that's how I am for the races. And she's like, yeah, I figured you'd be at a coffee shop waiting for me to do X, Y, and Z, like, because that's where you're going to be doing this with the baby right now. You're right at the coffee shop waiting, And so it's like, but she's doing the work and she does it with a smile, and like a smile, but it's like just pure confidence when she's doing it. So it's like it's beautiful. It really is.
You fake it till you make it, huh?
I don't know about that, but like you're doing it, you're not faking it. You've done it. Yeah.
So I want to flip the question on you now, Salim. How has fatherhood changed you as an athlete? Because people don't focus on dads, right? It's really about the moms. And I just want to get your perspective, because I know I've seen you be an active dad, especially like at Lake Placid. I remember Mel was running and it was your turn to take the baby. And so you had to have the baby. And this was your race weekend, right? So like,
Yeah, that was my basic. Yeah.
so how has being a father changed you as an athlete?
I mean, it's similar to Mel, like, it's showing Mateo now that like if we do something, we're going to finish it, and we're able to do hard things. Like that's it. Like we jokingly say that Mateo came in already winning because out of the three of us, he's the biggest one in the family. Like being born, he's the most weight, longest baby out of the three of us. So like, you already got your first win, son. Like you came off the gate with a win. And so like it's up for us to keep showing you how to win and how to succeed. And so like part of it like is just like, setting the foundation. This is how things are done here. We're gonna, if it's a race, if it's a coloring book, whatever it is, like we're gonna start, we're gonna finish it, we're gonna do it to the best that we can. And so like for me, I'm just like it's a different level of pride. Like I've raced for charity, and that was great. But that was like seeing Mateo at the finish line when I did Eagle Man this year. That was really touching. It was my first race of the year, and like he was there and he was cheering throughout the entire race for me. It was crazy. Like he would see me, he was looking, he's like, "Dad, Day." There's a video somewhere of him doing that, and I was like, this is just, it's amazing. So yeah, so it's touching. So like you're racing more with purpose, because like you're trying to show, we're trying to show Mateo like, hey, we're gonna do this, we're gonna finish it, we're gonna do it. There's no quitting. Like, just trying to instill that early so that he has that foundation. So if he decides to go into sports, whatever he decides to do, he'll know that it's already that's part of his makeup.
Yeah. That was our dog.
Okay, so we have dogs and babies, and it's a
Yes.
house full in New York City. I love it.
Zoo. It's a zoo.
Yeah, no, but I agree with what you're saying, and I have noticed those shifts in you, and how everything is much more purposeful, right? It's very similar to me, and I think we look at parenting as a parallel to life and triathlon as a parallel to life. Like in Cartagena the other day, when I injured myself, I wasn't able to race, but we kind of had a conversation about it. And what is the principle that we're going to follow here? Do we jump in the water and at least do one part of the race if the other two don't work? So, and we had a conversation about it, and then we came to the agreement. It was like, okay, if you wanna talk about something or represent something, you have to try your best. And I think that's also how we make triathlon with parenting and being a married couple. Similar principles, I think.
Yeah, no, it's
values.
Our values, like that's a great point. Our values haven't changed. Like our values before racing, our values when you're dating, our values as being a married couple, like everything has always been aligned. And so like the values of triathlon still aligns to our principles before. We're gonna try it, we're gonna do it, and we'll see how it goes. And so like it's not just, we're just not going to do it, and so yeah, we talked about it and came up with, hey, let's see how let's go through this experience, feel it out, and then we know you can't bike because you can't hardly walk. So yeah, so we're just gonna go ahead and just go forth and do it. But yeah, it's just been, and everything's more purposeful because you don't have the one thing that really comes down to is time. We don't have time. Like I'd rather spend time with my son versus biking 120 miles. But you have to. And so like you have to make the most of the time, and how are you going to use that time? Are you going to waste the time? Like back to what we said before, every other day. So like if I miss my day of training on Monday, I don't get a chance to do it again until Wednesday because Tuesday's Mel's day. So I can't be like, so it's so it goes back to like
Pick your battles.
Yeah, everything has to be done with purpose. And then so that if you move with purpose, then everything slowly starts to make a little more sense, and it's more aligned to where you're trying to go with it. And so like there's a lot of purposeful movements here. Yes.
So I want to kind of go back in what you were saying at a recent race at Cartagena. Is that what it was?
Yep.
You were injured, but you decided to start knowing that you were injured. And I think that goes to one of the questions that I asked in my little pre-race profile thing that I do for everyone. And one of the things that you said when I asked the question of what is one thing you wish you would have known that would have helped you in the beginning? Mel, you said that failure is a part of the process. And Salim, you said you wish you would have known the importance of one's mindset in sport. And so I want to talk about both of these because I think they go together, and you guys answered them completely separately. But what is it about failure as a part of the process that you would have wanted to know more? And I'm sure both of you can speak to that.
Baby, listen enough, son.
I mean, I think this last race was a big reflection upon how failure has to be part of what you do, right? I can only try my best. I can only jump in the water and attempt to get through a swim. But there will be those times where I can't get through something. You can't get through a workout sometimes. I remember training for my first 70.3 and having some conflict with my mom. And I had to stop a workout in the middle of it because I was just so upset about us having a fight. But it had to be okay that I stopped, and I was keeping my bar so high all the time, like training with these women that were so hardcore and so impressive. But sometimes you got to give yourself some grace, and it's okay to not be always at 100%. Mm-hmm. And this is a sport where we're all type A personalities, so it's hard to say like, okay, it's all right to take a step back and to do all these other things to self-care, but sometimes you have to step away and just allow yourself that.
Yeah, I would agree. Salim, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, like failure for what we do, like triathlon is any distance triathlon, it's a very difficult thing to do. And sometimes you put yourself out there and it happens, like you don't finish the day. Like it's part of the process. And that process, it doesn't, it stinks, but it makes you hungrier to go back and do it the next time. But the longer you're putting yourself out there and doing the work, sometimes things don't go as planned. And it's like triathlon is really big on what happens when your plan falls apart. That's when your plan starts. So like Mel had the option of, hey, I twisted my ankle 2 days before the race. I'm just going to like bag the whole thing and not have any of this experience. But no, like we're here. Let's experience what we can of it, take it, use it, learn from it, and then hopefully
come back next year.
Come back, and then I'm not saying that on camera.
I do.
Then come back and learn from it, But yeah, like you have to, if you're not pushing the boundary, sometimes you're staying in a comfort zone. Like you have to be willing to push, like, and then see what's there when you push, because there's another side. There's the breakthrough that happens. So, but if you don't if you don't do it, you never get there. You never get that experience. So yeah.
What did you write about mindsets?
I read about mindset. Yeah. Like for me, mindset, like everything that I've done in the past, we've always set the tone by like how we visualize, from football, from diving, from karate. It's always been a mindset going into it. When I started triathlon, it was just, there wasn't a mindset. It was just, let me just get out of here. Let me just get go on to get out of the water, get on the bike and get on the run, and thank God I made it out of the water. Thank God I'm off the bike. Yeah. Now I can back on dry land. Now I just can run. But as I've progressed in this, like the stronger willed you are, the stronger you, the more intention you have, the details of your transition and, bike and swim, the things you're thinking about all make a difference. Like I tell people on the team, like visualize your success. Like when I sign up for a race or there's someone that's working with us and they're telling me they're going to do X, Y, and Z, I see them crossing the finish line when they're telling me about it. So it's like, hey, I'm signing up for, Chicago Marathon. I see them getting there, crossing the finish line, and having that experience of success. That's what I see. Now it's trying to get them to see it. So I wish that they, in the beginning there was, someone to help with my mindset on how to visualize and see these things. But in the beginning, we're just trying to, you're trying to get there. You don't know until you have enough conversations, enough races, meet the right people, some failure, having some failure makes you, question and, seek out other guidance. And then like you have these moments, you're like, oh, okay. So I need to do that, or I need to do this, like these little pieces. And then it all comes together for you. And then like when it starts to come together, it's like, it's a beautiful thing when you're able to like just be able to like zone in for whatever the distance is, because like you have like you've applied your mind the right way to get yourself there.
That's so good. I was just so deep in thought listening to you guys, and I'm like, oh my gosh, the time is literally flying by. And but I can't move forward without just kind of recapping that. If you race long enough, you will have failures, and you may have them in the beginning and not at the end. You may have them in the middle. You may have them at the end and not the beginning. But that's a part of racing. And so your mindset, it does matter what you think about. It matters what you visualize. Our minds are so powerful. And so they have the power to really, create whatever world you want it to be. Like that, your mind can create that. Like I think, like Mel, you were just telling us about your race, but I also recently did Cozumel this year, and I was so focused. I wrote out how I wanted the day to go. I wrote out my intentions. I felt like I was more prepared. And then delays started to happen, like just things that wasn't in my plan. Hence, you got a plan until you don't have a plan, and then you have to have a different type of plan. And so there's just things that you can't control, and you only can control what you can control. But it is about your mindset. And I think going into it with a positive mindset, going into it with a plan, a vision, helps you to conceptualize whatever happens, and you can be acceptance of whatever the day brings you. You can accept it because you at least went into it prepared.
You're able to, yes, it's 100%. You're able to accept it because it's part of the process of the day. Like,
yes.
It's just, it's how it goes out. Like your plan fails. Okay. But I'm in it. Like I'm locked in for, the next 5 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours, whatever. I'm locked in for the day. So since I'm locked in, whatever happens on this day, we're going to go with it versus, and I say this a lot, is like, where else would you rather be? Like, it's okay. What else are you going to do? Like, you're in a race. So race. Okay. I had a flat tire. Fix it and keep racing.
Right. You did it. Your spokes broke at one race, the last one.
I wasn't going there. But...
Oh,
10 miles with a broken spoke.
Oh, yeah, that happened.
That was not part of the
That
plan.
was not part of I thought I was gonna have my first DNF. I really did. I was 10 miles out and was a nice bike, and I broke a spoke, and I went from, it was a mess. I was like, oh boy, it's gonna happen. And I was like, nope, we're gonna just pedal. And I was like, if I get close enough to town, I'll just walk. I'll just walk the bike back, but like, we're not, no, we're not. That's not, again, back to, that's not who we are. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna find a way to get through this. And I was like, within 3 miles, I can walk 3 miles, 30 minutes, still make the bike cut off. We'll continue, figure it out later. I have to explain this at some point to somebody, but right now,
You have a whole audience now.
So so then you just, you go with it, but you're locked in for the day, because it's like, the day's still going on, the race is still going on. Like, I'm here to race. Like, I don't, where else would I rather be? I'd rather be right here today. Like, this is what I've got to do. This is it.
Okay. So I'm going to ask a question and you can let me know if I'm getting too in the business or not. But has triathlon ever sparked a huge, intense debate in the household? I say yes.
Well,
we have different mentalities.
Triathlon is, no, there's been, it has started debates.
Yeah.
Like during 2020, we've got cheese. Oh my God. Okay. Wow. So it has, we had like different training philosophies, diversity, not diversity, like gear stuff. Like we've had all types of conversations on it, but like you name it, we possibly talked about it.
Yeah, I think I'm more of a, I don't know if fair weather athlete is like the right expression in English, but Salim has been an athlete all his life. He was a competitive athlete. He's a martial artist and a very well accomplished martial artist. He played football in college. So I think his perception or his mentality going into a race is much more, it's very different than mine. And that's, I think, sometimes where we rub each other differently.
I like how you said that, rub each other differently. That's nice.
Yeah, we have different, we have
I get through it, he wants to crush it.
We have different views.
Yes, and that sometimes can spark some debates, and yeah,
Mel will talk to people. I won't talk to anybody on the course. I'm not making friends on the course. I'll talk to you before the race, after the race, but I'm not talking to you about a race you did 5 years ago. I don't care. I'm trying to get through the race. Like, I'm not interested.
That sounds like Lloyd Henry. Oh my goodness. I don't make friends on the course.
Well, see, like, it happened, like, so the more you race, the more things you find out. I was in Coronado racing, and in my beginning years, I was talking to the person next to me, and the spectator was like, if you're talking, you're not going fast enough. And I was like, you're right. You're 100% right. Therefore, nope, not talking. No, I've got place to go. Like, because the other thing too, like, you start talking to somebody and they've got a different plan, different coaching, different mindset. Now they're slowing you down. Like, it could be like, you could have like a 7-hour time goal, and you start talking to a person and they're telling you about what happened like 5 races ago. Like, and now it's like, you did a nice job helping them, and you're like, you didn't help yourself. So you have to, just race. I'm there. So it's my back to
different mindset.
Different mindset.
Yeah, and that can spark a little bit debates, and I can't think of too many other things that how triathlon, just splitting up times can sometimes be frustrating, and coordinating childcare. Thursdays he'll go to the pool and I get grumpy because I have to get up so I can drop off the baby on my way to work. things like that, where it's just like we know what our passions are. We want to do the sport, but now we have to negotiate around it, which can also lead sometimes to some headbutting.
Yeah, I guess the big argument around here is like when you have a day to train and you don't use that day, it's like, wait, you wasted your day? That means I could have worked out. Like that's a
Oh my gosh.
that's a big one around here. It's like
I bet you we're not the only people who have these complications.
like your day, like you decided to sleep in, and I was awake, so I couldn't get on the trainer because like you're supposed like, yeah. I mean, those are the debates we have around here sometimes. Well, like we talk about all aspects of triathlon. Yeah. It's just
So before we go into our rapid fire questions, I want to ask you both, what barriers have you guys had to overcome to get into multisport?
barriers.
Or any challenges?
Oh man, that's a loaded question.
It's a big
Lashonda.
one.
That's not fair. Yeah, I had a difficult time just being an African American trying to get into the sport, like going to some of the to some different teams, like for like info nights and stuff, or going for a workout, and people looking at me like, why am I here? Like, same reason you're here, like trying to break a sweat. Like, I'm here to work, and it wasn't received. Some places it wasn't received so well. So that was always frustrating. Going to like some races and like I was the only African American there, so like there's been some challenges with that. Yeah, and then like there's just as we all know, multisport is not there's not that many African Americans that are involved in multisport. And so when I was coming up, it was just like it was a hard place to be. And then I would get excited when I would see like two or three other guys, and like one of the other guys was cool, the other guy wasn't. I was like, I don't get it. Like, there's only three of us. Like, you gotta know. I was like, okay. And then see you before the race, trying to talk, and during the race, I'm like, now since you didn't try, I'm not going to say anything to you either. Gotta go about my business.
Petty. Petty.
Yeah.
Nah.
Never.
No.
What obstacles have I think for me it reflects a lot my childhood, and I think I mentioned to you, as a kid I was very athletic. I was in a lot of sports, but then as a teen I developed epilepsy, and it was kind of like sports are off limits, especially swimming, which was my passion. And so for a long time I had this concept of myself as being a person who could never do sports. So allowing myself to sign up for a race that was something that I was told I could never do, was a huge obstacle for me, and more like a mental aspect of it, a mental challenge. Here's like this woman who's been having seizures for 20 years, and she's actually going to jump in the Hudson River and then go running in the park. And but I did it, and I was able to manage, and I haven't had any seizures. And there's still moments where I have auras, which is like the pre-seizure, but it hasn't stopped me, and I continue to do what I want to do and what I love doing, and thank God.
Yes, thank God. Oh man, this has been so good. And I know we can talk forever and ever, but let's get these rapid fire questions going real quick, because Mateo he's back wanting your attention. So we're going to get this done quick. Yes, that's good, Mateo.
100% right.
What's your at the end of a race, do you immediately change clothes or stay in your clothes and drive home?
Ooh.
I know the answer to that one. I stay in my clothing because I'm afraid of that shower afterwards, where you're very likely to hear me screaming because I was chafing.
No, I change. Yeah, like after a race, I change. Just when you were in Cozumel, after the race, I jumped in the ocean and then waited for the race to be over. But then I changed. Yeah, like carry on my day. Like, yeah, then stay in. Yeah.
Okay. What's your go-to workout and what does it look like? Like, are you a HIIT? Are you endurance? Like, what's your go-to workout? Is it swim? Is it bike?
That's a good question. I like intervals. I'm interval focused on everything. So uh on a like I have an interval bike that I like to do. Some short intervals with like a long. So sometimes like 15, 10, like I'm sorry, 15, 5, 15 repeated 3 times. And then with a nice long like 20-minute zone 2 afterwards. Uh that's a workout that I love to do. It's great for like for pacing and then building endurance from it. So it's great Saturday workout with the trainer. So like 15 minutes, zone 3, 5 minutes, zone 2, then repeat that, then 20-minute block and just go for it. So like if you're on a flat course, Eagle Man, Cozumel,
Okay.
Super Frog.
All right.
Yeah, like it's great. There's some other ones I like. I like doing some. I love a brick. I love different levels of bricks. So
This is rapid fire.
oh, sorry.
Mm.
I don't. I'm not rapid fire.
Well, for me, it's a swim. A swim is a good place to process information, jump in the pool, and just go. Rapid.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry,
Rapid. Thank you.
Rapid. Thank you. I got it. Right.
All right.
You answered. I'm sorry.
Rapid.
Audiobook, podcast, music, or silence when you train?
Podcast. Anytime. Something that makes my brain work and learn. How about you? You're a music guy.
On the bike, I'm music. When I do everything else, I'm silence.
Okay. Transition. I feel like this is where it's going to get spicy. Are you a transition minimalist, Goldilocks, where everything is just right, or kitchen sink space hoarder, where you have to bring everything?
I want to say hoarder, but I'm probably the opposite, where I bring whatever I need and then I kick myself in the butt afterwards. Minimalist.
Minimalist. Yeah. Yeah, minimalist.
Yeah.
Just what I need. That's it.
What's your go-to pre-breakfast?
That's rough. Depending what race I'm doing.
See, that's the right. Yeah.
Typically like a half bagel with peanut butter, something really basic and bland.
Yeah, a banana and whatever I'm drinking that day. Yeah.
Okay. And the question that we ask everyone, do you pee on the bike or take a proper pre-break?
I pee on my bike.
I don't know how that's done. I don't. I've tried. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Even the baby laughing.
You get off and take a proper pee break. That's okay. But I'm just glad that it brought you so much joy to think about it and laugh.
It's funny.
That makes
No shame at all.
Yeah.
So I do have one question that I didn't ask before that I want to kind of get addressed because we're already over. So whatever. It's the last one. Y'all give me some grace, listeners and viewers.
I know.
We're fine over here.
What made you want to go into coaching?
Oh, that's for me. Like my background is my background is rapid fire, or can I like take a second?
You can take a second.
Okay. My background is in education, so I've always been a person to be thoughtful. I've always coached. I've been a martial artist my entire life, so I've always been used to working with adults from time I was a child and explaining things to other people and been wanting to help people. I wanted to start coaching so that I could help bring on new people to the sport, and I felt that I could make a difference. I felt that my background and ability to understand information, I thought that I could lend a hand to people trying to figure it out. It seemed like throughout my process, people was always asking me questions like, how do you do this? How do you do that? And, after a while, I was like, you know what? Like, I think I can actually, write a plan. And so like wrote a plan to see if I could do it. And I was like, oh, no, take a look at this. I was like, not so bad. And like, and I was like, oh, really? Then like made some, talked to some other people, and it seemed like, my mindset on the sport, my mindset on the sport spoke to how the sport, is meant to be done. And I just want to be there to help people see them through. It's like, it's not my victory, it's your victory, but I want to help you in your process of getting your victory. And so like, it's something that I love to do. We take it like 100% serious over here, and like everyone's goals, like we try to reach everyone's goals, for them to come out stronger, better, positive, and a different outlook on their life. So like there's a lot more to it than just a training plan. Like I got training plans before, and like wanted to find a way where I can communicate, explain, and share with other people like my love for the sport.
I love that. Y'all, it's the end of the year. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy Hanukkah to you all. And as we're going into a new year, Happy New Year. It has been a joy. We are officially 1 year old. We celebrated our first anniversary in October, and it has been a joy to bring you episodes after episodes. And I hope you guys continue to ride with us. If you are enjoying what you're listening to, be sure to like a message, share it, and follow us. Follow us on all your social media platforms. Instagram is where we're probably the most active. Twitter, Facebook. We're listening on any major platform, and we're also on YouTube. So check us out, support us, and share it with a beginner. Even if they're not interested or they haven't really gotten to mention that they're interested in triathlon, share it with a friend, because you never know. They may hear a story that will inspire them. And that's what we're here to do. Because whenever you try beginner's luck, you always win. I'm Mashonda Shines, and I'm out. Peace. Thank you, guys. Thank you for tuning in and listening to this episode. We need your help so we can continue to try at TBL. So for more information on where you can find and subscribe to this podcast, visit www.trybeginnersluck.com. And don't forget, whenever you try beginner's luck, you always win.